Story 1. Refusing to let my wife name our kid something stupid? Me, 25M, and my wife, 23F, are having our first child together. She is currently 9 months pregnant and could give birth any time in the next couple of weeks. The only major fight we have had throughout her pregnancy happened a couple days ago, and it was about what we were going to name our kid. It all started when we found out the gender of the baby. We didn't do a gender reveal and decided to find out the gender at one of her checkups because we didn't want to spend time making 2 lists of names then have to get rid of one after. So after we found out we were having a boy, we sat down together and made a list. Almost all of the names she suggested were normal, until the one that caused me to write this post. She suggested we name our son Mune. She told me the name was from this movie she watched when she was younger and that it always stuck with her. I told her the name was a little out there and he would get made fun of for it. She claimed he wouldn't, and we started going back and forth trying to decide whether to add the name to the list or not. Eventually she agreed to keep the name off the list. We picked some that we liked, and I thought that was that. Later on in her pregnancy, her mom decided to throw a baby shower as it was her first grandchild, and my wife's pregnancy was almost over and we hadn't celebrated once. It was fine for the most part until we started to open the gifts. Most of them were normal baby things like diapers and bottles, until we got to her mom's gift. My wife opened the gift bag and pulled out a blue handmade blanket. It seemed normal enough at first until my wife unfolded it, and lo and behold, there was the name Mune written on the blanket. When I saw it, I was pissed but didn't want to cause a scene, so I stayed quiet. After that reveal, I had family members come up to me and ask me about the name and why I hadn't told them. I didn't know what to tell them as I didn't have a clue about this either and just had to embarrassingly tell my family that, which pissed me off even more. Once the event ended and me and my wife went home, I started to question her about the name. She got defensive and told me that it was a good name and that I was overreacting about it. I brought up the earlier points and told her it was a stupid name for a kid, and if she wanted to name something Mune so bad she could use the name for a dog. She got upset and called her mom to come get her. After she left, she called me and told me she wouldn't be coming back for a while. Everyone I've talked to about this has said I'm not the a-hole, but now that my wife has been gone and I've been thinking about it, I feel like I could have handled the situation better. Comment 1. NTA, congrats and good luck with everything. I'm also about to give birth and we haven't picked a final name yet. If my husband went behind my back and told his family a name and didn't bother to mention it to me, I'd be livid. Not to mention she told them early enough that they either had time to personalize or hand-make a personalized gift. Names should be 2 yeses. I'm not gonna comment on the name, but your wife is TA for making an important decision behind your back, keeping you out of the loop, and telling people. That's not okay. Hopefully things can settle down and you guys can talk it out soon. Hope all goes well. Comment 2. NTA, I think that your wife is being pretty ridiculous about the name. That's an awful name and you're right that the kid will be bullied for this. Your wife is incredibly wrong for deciding to name the child that name anyway, regardless of what you think. It's just as much your child as it is hers. Comment 3. It actually sounds like your wife conspired with her mom to make the blanket, as if once opened and seen, the name of your son would be fait accompli. I'm concerned about your wife's manipulative and secretive behavior as well as her reluctance to tell you the truth. If I were in your situation, I'd seek out couples counseling. Based on how she chose to behave in the past, I'm not sure that you talking to her directly would be effective. I can imagine her being defensive while justifying her choices. I could be wrong, though. NTA, BTW. Both parents need to agree on their child's name. Story 2. Telling my stepdaughter she needs to grow up and stop expecting everyone else to cater to her diet because she wants to lose weight. I, 45F, have been a stepmother to Lucy, 17F, for the past 2 years. I also have a son, Jack, 15M, from my previous relationship. For the first 18 months that I knew Lucy, she was in love with junk food. She would use the money she would get from babysitting the neighbors' kids to buy cookies, chips, ice cream all the time. It was very unhealthy how much of that crap she was eating. I tried to politely encourage her to switch to something healthier that still tasted good like yogurt, that she would always respond with "You're not my mom," and stop controlling my body. Because of this, she's put on a lot of weight. Anyway, about 6 months ago, she got into an argument with a boy in school. They called each other names and he ended up calling her a hippo. That made her really self-conscious, and she's been trying to improve her health since then. She threw out all the junk food we had at home and tries to exercise 3 to 4 times a week. She's been making steady progress, and I'm happy that she's been taking care of herself. My son, however, has recently taken a liking to Doritos chips. He doesn't eat a lot of it. Maybe a packet every other week. He mostly eats it in his room, so Lucy hasn't seen him eating them. But a couple of days ago he was watching a TV show downstairs and he decided to eat his chips. I was cooking in the kitchen, but then I heard an argument, so I ran out to figure out what was going wrong. Lucy was mad at Jack for eating chips and told him to throw it out because she's trying to lose weight. My son said he can eat whatever he wants. I tried to calmly tell Lucy that Jack is allowed to eat in a common space, that if what he's eating is tempting her, she can nicely ask him to put it away, or she can go to another room until he finishes if he declines her request. That just made her angrier, and she accused me of playing favorites and sabotaging her progress. This pissed me off because I've done nothing but support her these past few months. I firmly told her she's almost 18 and she needs to grow up and accept that not everyone will follow her diet, especially in their own homes. She cried to her mom, who's now blowing up my phone calling me a bitch for not supporting her daughter. My husband, her dad, is on my side, but after sleeping on it, I think I could have used a gentler tone. So, comment 1. NTA. Her being on a diet doesn't mean other people diet as well. If she can't eat chips, that's fine. It doesn't sound like other people are trying to force her to eat them. But if her argument is "I'm on a diet so chips can't be in the house," that only flies if it's her house. If she wants to control what food is her residence, then she would need to be the sole person paying for the residence. Comment 2. Look, in terms of the general topic of the conflict, your NTA, but it sounds like your concern is that you might have used some hurtful phrasing or tone, and simply could have handled it better, even if you're in the right on the general topic, and that's something I don't think this sub is in a position to judge. It's too context specific, and tone doesn't come across in text. Comment 3. NTA, stepdaughter lives in a world full of temptation. She's going to have to learn how to navigate that by controlling herself. No amount is managing her environment is going to help if she can't control her own urges. She'll just give in to them the first chance she gets. If she wants to make a change like this, it has to come from within her. Honestly, she might benefit from reading about intuitive eating. It creates a positive drive to eat better by listening to what your body needs. It made a tremendous impact on my health. Story 3. Refusing to babysit my nieces. When my 28F sister May, 30F, was 20, she got pregnant with her daughter Reese. My parents immediately rushed to coddle her and help her and her now husband Mike, 33 meters, with everything. She continued college while my parents paid for everything she and her child would need. Mike worked with my dad as an intern at his company while also continuing going to college, and this continued even after she gave birth. My parents would watch her kid until she or Mike came home, and I always found that to be very unfair on my parents. Well, after college, May and Mike got married and had 2 more kids, twins 4F, and they have great lives. They both work late hours sometimes, so my mom or Day will watch the kids until either one comes home. I again think this is unfair and absolutely hate how they are using my parents as free babysitters. It's uncool in my opinion. Well, my parents decided to visit my aunt in another state and left Tuesday. I was happy about this because this will force my sister to grow up and learn that she can't use our parents the way she does. Well, that didn't happen because she asked me if I could watch the twins for an hour until Mike comes home while she takes Reese to the hospital after she hurt herself. I immediately told her no and told her to find someone else. She was disappointed and then spent a half an hour on the phone asking everyone she knew if they could watch the twins. Everyone said what I said, and she nearly broke down crying when she looks at me. She began begging and telling me she'll even pay me for watching them just this once. I again told her no and that they are her kids and she needs to finally grow up and actually watch them. She said nothing and quickly got the kids out and in the car before driving off. An hour later I was called by my mom and she was telling me how disappointed she was in me and how family helps family. I said they do, but I refused to coddle May the way she and Dad did, that May needs to grow up and watch her own kids. Mom said nothing before hanging up. Edit: I have been seeing this question a lot, so I'll answer everyone here. My parents have never complained about watching the kids, they actually offer to watch them most times so my sister and her husband don't have to pay for daycare. My sister also has never asked me to watch them until now. Comment 1. Yeah, YTA. Whether or not to watch the kids is your parents' decision, not yours. Whether you think it's fair or not isn't your business. There's also a world of difference between your sister asking you to watch her twins while she takes her older daughter to the hospital to get an injury looked at and her asking you to watch them while she goes somewhere fun. Comment 2. YTA. First of all, many grandparents provide free child care for their grandchildren. This is extremely common, and isn't uncool. If you parents have an issue with the amount of time your sister asks of them, that is between them and your sister, and has nothing to do with you. Now as for you, obviously you are not obligated to provide free, or paid, child care when your parents are unavailable. But in this specific instance it doesn't sound like it was a typical situation where your sis just wanted you to sub in for what your parents usually do. No, in this case one of the kids was injured and had to be taken to the hospital, and yet you had no sympathy and refused to watch the other kids for only an hour. Now that is uncool. Comment 3. YTA. Your saltiness towards your sister is completely undeserved. I dunno if you're jealous of her or what, but refusing to babysit for an hour so your sister can take her child to the hospital because you think they are her kids and she needs to grow up and finally watch them is a really bizarre take. There is nothing ungrown up about grandparents helping with childcare when both parents work. Your whole take on this situation is way uncool in my opinion. Story 4. Not being more open with my husband's parents and for telling them to stop prying into my experience in therapy. I have been married to my husband for 5 years and earlier this year I learned I cannot have children, at least not without a lot of intervention, and even then, it's highly unlikely. My husband has 4 children from his first marriage. His late wife died while the children were all very young, 2.5 years before we met. They are now between the ages of 10 and 15. I love my stepkids. I have always loved being their stepmom even though they don't want a close relationship with me. They seem to feel like it would be disloyal to their mom and that their maternal family would be hurt if they were very close to me. It's something I tried not to take personally and I accepted it and embraced that I would probably only be Dad's wife and not stepmom or grandma in the future when they have grandkids. I always thought at least we could have children together. But now that dream has been taken and I don't know that I can be happy staying married. I, personally, would struggle to accept watching my husband have an amazing relationship with my stepkids while I don't, and knowing I can't have that relationship with my child. I'm already struggling to hold myself together. I was honest with my husband about it and I started therapy. He asked if I was considering leaving and I told him I needed to work through everything in therapy but that it was possible. He asked if there was anything he could do. I said no. We had talked about the costs of fertility treatments and it's just not feasible with the kids we already have. And I think the mental torture of trying, and if it doesn't work, which is the most likely outcome, it would be harder for me. I love my husband and I love the kids. But I don't think it would be enough for me. I don't think I am capable of being okay with being the outsider. With never hearing "I love you" from one of the kids, knowing I will never hear it from a child I have raised. My husband's parents are aware I am in therapy, and they are aware we were given bad news about having a baby together. They have tried talking to me. But I can't find it in myself to open up the wound with them and tell them everything. They wouldn't fully understand, and even if they were lovely, I would feel strange saying all this when it would involve mentioning their grandchildren and their son. But they have been pretty insistent, and a few days ago they tried to find a way around finding out what I talk about in therapy. I grew incredibly frustrated and asked them to please stop prying into my therapy experience. They escalated from frustration to anger and told me I should be more open with them because we are family and they could help. Now I feel even more terrible. Comment 1. NTA et al. Ask them if they would feel comfortable giving you copies of all their medical records. They are focused on influencing an outcome they would like, instead of considering what you're telling them you need right now, which is space to process everything. It sounds like you feel you've never been fully integrated into the family, so it's no wonder you're questioning your attachment to your husband and kids. You deserve the time and privacy to figure out how you see your life unfolding after such devastating news. OP comment. Yeah, it was never a full integration despite our best efforts, and knowing that I am on the outside in many ways makes all of this harder. It's not like I still have a loving and close relationship with my stepkids. I'm not even sorta close to them. Even though I adore them. Seeing them and my husband and their relationship, it hurts because I know I will never have that. Comment 2. My, sure to be unpopular, advice to you, OP is, get a divorce. Spending time, money, energy and affection on 4 kids who will never return an ounce of that love is just a bad investment in your future. Even more importantly, your husband cannot financially support you in your needs/dreams of having your own child. In fact, his existing children make it financially impossible for you to have your own child. That alone would be a complete deal breaker for me. Not to mention his overbearing and insanely rude parents. Get a divorce and find someone who will work with you to have children of your own. You can always adopt, or have an egg donor or surrogate. Don't give up your precious dreams of having your own child, and waste your whole life taking care of children who will give you absolutely nothing in return.